Hey guys, welcome to the country. Welcome to South Louisiana. This is a winter day for us down here, if you can believe that. Look at this beautiful sky. Today I'm talking to you about kind of a new pistol making company, but not a new company overall. Faxon Firearms. We're looking at the FX19 series of pistols. This one is called the Patriot. It's essentially a Gucci Glock, but it's not a Glock. It's patterned along loosely around Glock. This thing is manufactured by Faxon in-house, although I'm going to be straight with you because I bought this pistol and no one sent it to me. It's essentially a Polymer 80. Polymer 80 makes these frames for Faxon and sends them branded as a Faxon frame. So it's not a knock against them, but Faxon doesn't make this frame. Now Faxon does mill their own slides, and a wonderful thing that they are. The slides are machined in-house. It has beautiful front and rear serrations, including top serrations too, if you want to call it that. I like the way they 45 the edges there to kind of knock those edges off, get the aggressiveness off of it. Because again, we're talking about some relatively aggressive texturing. So again, making it a 45 is going to make it a little more snag free as it goes in and out of a holster inside concealed carry, for instance. They have two models of this particular firearm. They have this model here, which is the Patriot, that is suited more, it looks just like a Glock 19 to a certain degree, but it's suited more towards concealed carry, just the way it's made, whereas their Hellfire version is suited more towards competition. What I didn't quite understand is I shoot limited division in USPSA, and I have a fiber optic sight on my limited pistol. They put the fiber on what I would utilize as the carry pistol, and they put the night sights on what could be fashioned the Hellfire as the more competition moded firearm. So I'm not really sure. It seems like they kind of got that backwards. I would have preferred to see the night sight put on this one and the fiber optic sight on the competition ready one. The cuts on it are awesome. I like the little American flag they put on the red dot optic cutout sight here that you can mount your own optic on it. That's pretty cool. Nice little touch there. Aggressive texturing, but I like that. This is not overly aggressive. It's not going to tear your hands up, but it's perfect for gloves and wet hand situations. It's kind of cool because they have the texturing it varies a little bit. You can see it on the front strap there. It's a little bit different. They call this an oversized mag release. I don't know that it's as oversized as it is that they cut out in the frame around it to expose it a little bit more. It is very aggressive. Again, looking at it in terms of that competition pistol and carry too, that rough texturing is nice because when you get on that, you're going to drop that mag pretty quick and easily and make a pretty quick reload. It's got this Overwatch premium trigger on it. Look guys, I like the trigger. It's got a nice feel to it, but it's got a Glock feel to it. What I mean by that is the internals are a mix of plastic and metal. And you know, you've got that spongy and kind of clunk sound when a Glock trigger releases. You get the same thing here. There's only so much you can do when you're dealing with plastic and metal all combined together. You're gonna get that sponginess of the plastic giving a little bit. If they made these triggers all metal, all the internals, everything was metal on the inside. I'm not talking about the whole gun. I'm talking about the action. If they made all of that metal, you could take that sponginess out of it because you wouldn't be getting that mushiness, that sponginess of the plastic. When you have several pieces of plastic all giving a little bit, it adds up and it gives you that sponginess. Whereas if it were all metal and you didn't have that, you'd have a much crisper feeling trigger, especially whenever it broke. It's got a double undercut trigger guard. That's pretty cool. You're gonna get really high on this thing. You would think that Glock would start to undercut a little bit on theirs. Not quite sure why they don't do that to get people a little bit higher up on the frame itself, but this is nice. I mean, you're gonna get way up there compared to what you would on a standard Glock frame off the shelf. My biggest plus for this particular gun, because I carry a striker-fired pistol, my favorite gun, handgun, is a 1911, but I don't carry one. I love the way the 1911 feels, and my biggest compliment on 1911 is the way it aims whenever you shoot it. John Moses Browning was no idiot. This guy figured out, okay, what's the most comfortable but effective grip to slide angle? And he figured out that an 18-degree angle is natural. And what he did was he closed his eyes and he punched his hand out. And he measured what that angle was between the grip and the slide, and it was 18 degrees. That's how he designed the grip angle of the 1911. Now, why Gaston Glock felt the need to increase that angle and make it less square with the slide, I'm not sure, but he did 22 degrees. What that 22-degree angle does is when you close your eyes and punch your pistol out, you're actually going to be aiming that pistol high. So you're going to have to gently drop your muzzle down a little bit because it's not a natural pointing position. So the 18 degree is right. Glock at some point will never admit that they were wrong, but they were wrong doing the 22 because, again, it's not a natural angle. So that's the biggest thing that I like about this Faxon is I feel like it's definitely going to lend itself to the average everyday shooter, certainly, because they're not going to have to readjust their grip whenever they put that gun out there. Not saying you should ever close your eyes in order to shoot a gun, but if you're faced with a self-defense situation where it's mostly muscle memory and all your techniques and all of your fundamentals are kind of going out the door and you're relying on all of your hours of range time, it'd be nice to have something that actually worked with you instead of you having to work around it. And I don't like the workaround of the Glock having to adjust that. I know your focus should be on your front sight and your target. Obviously, those are fundamentals and standard fundamentals of shooting a pistol. However, a lot of that stuff, again, goes out the door whenever you're faced with a high stress, adrenaline dump, and life or death situation where you're actually protecting yourself and your family. So kudos to Polymer 80 and, of course, Faxon for implementing that 18-degree angle in their line of pistols, because I think that is definitely a winner in terms of appealing to not only seasoned gun shooters or shooters like myself, but also new shooters out there as well. Let's run some rounds through it, and I want to just see how this thing feels. I mean, obviously, I'm kind of getting the best of both worlds, the striker fired and I guess the best and worst, because I'm still have the striker fired trigger, but I'm going to get my 1911 aim. So let's give that a shot. All right, guys, final thoughts on the FX19 Faxon Firearms Patriot. I like it. A couple things I noticed as I started to look at it. You'll notice that the barrel has what looks like some flame cuts in it. That's kind of cool. That'll lighten things up a little bit. Could very well lend itself to maybe a little bit of cooling down of the barrel too as it's being used. One thing I'm a big fan of on this pistol, and I wasn't expecting it until I took a closer look at it. Notice the deep crowning on the muzzle. That's kind of a big deal to me, from a carry standpoint especially, and I guess from a competition standpoint. The reason for that is when you have that deep crowning like that, in the event that you were to drop your pistol inadvertently, and I should say negligently, if you drop that muzzle down and you hit it either on concrete, something hard, rocks, in a driveway, parking lot, whatever, you're protecting the rifling on the inside and you're not going to damage the exit of that round, if you will. So I do like that. That's nice. The trigger, it's very, very short reset. I like that short reset. I'm a fan of that. I do like the way it feels. I like the way it functions. Again, the sights, I like the sights, but I would prefer that if I'm carrying this, maybe night sights. You're seeing this thing MSRPing or listing online for around that $1,000 mark, maybe slightly higher than that. You're going to find it for cheaper than that. I know a lot of people look at that MSRP and many times they frown on it, but you know as well as I do, if you go to your local gun shop, they're going to have that thing marked less than $1,000. To me, when you do the math on everything that you get with this particular pistol, you get this custom double undercut frame, you get the nice texturing on it, you get a true Picatinny rail on the rail portion of it, definitely a aftermarket custom looking slide on it with the cuts everywhere you want the cuts to be. You have your normal cutout that would easily cost you $100 if you want to put a red dot optic on there. Again, you've got nicer upgraded sights instead of the old plastic sights that might come on many of the guns like this. You have a match grade barrel on there. The case, I didn't even mention the case, unbelievable airline ready shipping case that comes with it. Look guys, if you're Gucciing your Glock out, you're gonna pay well more than what you would spend on this one, and it's already done. And one thing that I do kind of want to point out, I like to approach a lot of my firearms, how I use them, why I use them, why I purchase a particular model. all from a self-defense standpoint. That's my role in this world. I'm never going to be a tactical Tommy. I'm never going to be the guy jumping out of airplanes or helicopters. This is for practical use to defend me and my family. And I always have to approach things from a litigious standpoint too. Lawyers. The world is full of lawyers out there. And my thinking is, if I buy this pistol already Gucci'd out, then for some reason, God forbid, I have to use this thing to defend my life or my family's life. This thing was purchased as is. I made no upgrades. However, if you buy a Glock and you Gucci it out yourself for performance reasons, you're going to have an attorney, if you get involved, and again, God forbid, in a self-defense situation, that's going to ask you why you put that upgraded trigger in there. When you say because you wanted your trigger to work better, they're going to immediately tie that to you were looking to shoot somebody and you wanted to be able to better shoot somebody. Same goes with a light and slide or a light and barrel or something like that. So my thing is, by buying this thing, and I know that's a long shot, many of us will never ever be in that situation, but when I'm in that situation, if I'm ever in that situation, I want to know that I did everything I could to keep me out of jail, knowing that it was a justified shooting and that I'm not going to go to jail because I made a modification of a trigger on there. I did purchase this gun with my own money. I do not know anybody from Faxon. I'd like to get my hands on some of the Polymer 80s as well, but Faxon, I don't know these guys. I'm sure I'll run into them at some point and introduce myself, but I did purchase this one with my own firearm. I want to thank Armscore Ammunition for providing me the ammunition. They are a sponsor of mine. I did seek them out as my ammunition sponsor because I'm such a fan of their consistent firing ammunition, so I appreciate those guys. Guys, I want to tell you, shirts like the one you see me wearing right here, get off my lawn. You can go to ballisticink.com, go to ballisticink.com, and you're going to see my storefront out there that's got caps, t-shirts, hoodies, long sleeve shirts. There's women's shirts out there. I've got about maybe a dozen or so of my own designs out there right now. All of those designs are ones you've probably seen me wear in the past. They are Legally Armed America t-shirts and American-made stuff. I think the caps is the only thing that might have some maybe associations that are not full American on them. The t-shirts definitely are. They are printed, embroidered, and all that right here in the United States. So I encourage you guys to go to ballisticink.com, click on the little tab down there that has Legally Armed America and my ugly face on it that we're partially trying to hide because I'm an ugly human being. So if you would go out there and press on that, and that does benefit me, and it does help me do the things that I do out here, providing a little bit of income, a small source of income for me. So if you don't mind doing that, I would highly appreciate that. I am on Patreon, by the way. I do not put a lot of videos out there, but if you want to try to support the channel in any kind of way, we at Legally Armed America very much appreciate it if you go to Patreon as well. As always, guys, never be afraid to be the safest person in the room and the deadliest.